Okay, why? Why? Who would want this? Who thinks this is acceptable? Like, generally speaking, you don't strive to have your bra outline showcased in your outfits like some sort of cookie cutter smooshed onto your chest. Undergarment problem that Meghan Markle has. She has a big problem with her undergarments, and it's very, very obvious. It's just one of the worst weird lines and bulges galore. I mean, like, it was just out of control. Perfectly, as if it were worn on the outside of the garment. You might as well have.
She wore a see-through skirt in front of children. She padded her chest for a nursing home visit. And on Commonwealth Day, she showed up in screaming emerald green when the dress code was reportedly red and blue. These weren't accidents. They were choices. And the worst one is still coming. Bra.
It's just one of the worst, weird lines and bulges galore. I mean, like, it was just out of control. Perfectly, as if it were worn on the outside of the garment. You might as well have. Very clearly, that is not a normal boob. Terrible, terrible judgment. She traumatized the people of New Zealand.
Mirror point 3 things every woman over a certain age knows you check before walking out the door. 3 things our mothers drilled into us before our first job interview, our first wedding, our first photograph that we actually cared about. Meghan Markle apparently refused to use any of them, and the photographs from her 7 years in and around the royal family are the proof. We're talking about visible bra lines you could trace with a pencil, underwear on display through skirts, padding so aggressive it created shapes that don't exist in nature, and lumps and bumps and wrinkles in places that any basic slip would have fixed in 2 seconds.
Where Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, was photographed with visible bra lines, cookie cutter bra, strap outlines, wrinkling from tension underneath the outfit, or foundation garments showing up through lighter fabrics, for example, or messes like these. The issue isn't morality, nor is it a matter of preference. Engineering. Royal dressing involves seamless underlayers, proper shapewear where needed, structured slips, hem weights, strategic tailoring, and sometimes custom foundation garments for specific silhouettes. Without these things, undergarment miscalculations in particular can distort the tailoring, pull the fabric off balance, where you get pulling and bunching and wrinkling in weird places.
But here's the part that really gets under the skin. She had access to everything. The same dressers, the same tailors, the same private fittings. And she still managed to walk in front of cameras looking less polished than the bridesmaids at a backyard wedding in Sussex.
Person either doesn't care to try or doesn't know how to get that proper foundation for a real smooth finish. And like I said, this matters so much more and is so much more profoundly obvious if you are frequently photographed and in the public eye than it is for most people.
But the gray dress is almost forgivable next to this one. A working royal arrives at a senior care facility, a nursing home. The residents are elderly, many of them unwell. The kind of visit where you wear something modest, comfortable, and absolutely forgettable. Meghan showed up with padding in her bra so aggressive it created a quad boob. Look at the photograph carefully. There is heavy padding squished beneath the tight band of her dress. Above the band, her actual bust pushed up into an unnatural shelf. The result is a silhouette that nature did not design. 2 sets of curves where there should be one.
Next, let's look at this weird occasion. Obviously, this dress was not only out of season, but way, way too tight. Every single seam is screaming. It is puckered and pulling and tight as all get out. My God, that must have been uncomfortable. But remember, we are focused on undergarments here. If you're wearing a slip and nylons, or just nylons even, your fabric does lay nicer. So if you have a dress that is a little snug, definitely don't skimp on the undergarments. Wear the nylons. Even you can get control top tights that have a tiny bit of compression around the tummy area, the hip area, which will help the situation for sure. But the main fail here, because remember, we're talking undergarments, the main fail here is in the bust line. It is very obvious in this photograph here that there is padding down here being squished, like maybe a bra with some extra padding down here. And then there is the tight band of the top of the dress, and then her chest, her bust is above that.
Who does that? Who pads themselves into a sexualized shape for a nursing home visit? Who looks in the mirror, sees that geometry, and walks out the door? It's a question that has bothered viewers for years, because the only honest answer is a woman who wasn't dressing for the residents, the cameras, or the occasion. A woman who was dressing only for herself and her own idea of what she wanted to project. And those were the quiet embarrassments.
So very clearly, that is not a normal boob situation. There's quad boob happening. And it's very obvious that she padded this bottom section and did so aggressively in order to give herself some degree of cleavage up here that it looks lumpy and strange and bizarre. Why someone would do that when going to a nursing home is completely beyond me. Most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
And then came the Kermit dress. Commonwealth Day, one of the most sacred services on the royal calendar. The kind of occasion where you wear your most dignified, traditional outfit and show up respectful. Meghan arrived in a brassy, lurid, emerald green dress that viewers still describe as the single worst outfit in modern royal history. The fabric was clinging. The skirt was riding up her body. The fit was so tight you could count every seam, and underneath, that bra again, outlined as clearly as if she had embroidered it onto the dress herself.
Next, we have this emerald green Commonwealth Day ridiculousness. The silhouette and the design of this on paper is striking. It's the execution and the finish that let it down. You can see the fabric is clinging and riding up, and that will not happen if you're wearing a proper foundation layer because it's slick. If you're wearing a slip and or nylons and your dress is properly lined, then it will not ride up. It will lay and it will move on top of your body like water. It will not cling and bunch and move up and create all these wrinkles. We have the terrible, ridiculous, ill-fitting strapless bra squeezed on here. We have puckering and ill-fittingness in general and wrinkles in general, but the undergarment fails here lie in the bra being visible and the bunching and the pulling up and the riding up of the dress and the fabric in general because the lack of a base layer.
But here is what has been whispered about ever since. The reported dress code for that service was red and blue, solid royal colors. Respectful, traditional, appropriate. Catherine wore red. The other royal women followed the code. Meghan arrived in screaming, brassy emerald green. To viewers who have followed this family for decades, that was not a fashion miscalculation. That was a message, a deliberate refusal. A small, calculated middle finger delivered through fabric. And behind the palace walls, the staff were already talking to us. Oh, how did this keep happening?
This cape, it literally looks suffocating. I mean, her short neck means it takes very little fabric to quickly overwhelm the neck area. I have the same problem. It just feels uncomfortable to even look at that mountain of fabric around her neck. So when you look at it and you're taking it in, your eye tends to drift towards the cape, but also straight to the excessive seams that are like all over the place. And they're bunching in the torso. Another clue of an ill-fitting dress, this huge poof at her back. What is happening here?
Why did this keep happening? And which outfit finally pushed the royal household to stop sharing tips with her altogether? Let's start with the gray dress. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look at the bra. Now look at the dress. Now look at the bra again. That's not artistic lighting, that's not a trick of the camera. That is a strapless bra outlined so clearly through the fabric of her gray dress that you can count every seam. The underwire, the top edge, the exact point where the cup ends. It is as if someone took a marker and drew the brassiere directly onto the outside of the garment. It is amateur. It is distracting. It is the kind of mistake that any woman over 50 watching this right now would catch in the mirror in 3 seconds flat and refuse to leave the house with.
The cookie cutter bra situation.
I'm a business lady, look at me.
The dress is clearly a little bit too tight. This color, having this cascading panel down the front, because it so reminds me of like maybe a napkin. She didn't need a briefcase of a handbag.
It's like, again, I'm a business lady.
But here's the part that really stings. Years later, after she ran off to California, Meghan complained publicly that she was forced to wear nude pantyhose by the royal household. She framed it like some kind of oppression. A loss of authenticity. Now look at her bare legs in that gray dress. Look at the lumps along her hips. Look at the bunching at her waistline. Any pair of tights, even the most sheer invisible ones, would have smoothed every single one of those problems away. She wasn't being forced into anything, she just wasn't bothering. And the camera caught her.
His focus is looking at foundation and undergarment. So the big problem we can see here is a cookie cutter bra situation. You can see the outline of a strapless bra perfectly, as if it were worn on the outside of the garment. You might as well have, because every single seam, you can see the underwire and the border of the fabric beneath the underwire. You can see the top, the entire thing. And it looks trashy. It looks terrible. It's distracting. It looks amateur. It's just the worst in every way. I don't see how someone could walk out of the house like this if they knew they were going to be photographed. It's horrible. We also, though, see some lumps and bumps along her stomach and hips here as well. So clearly there was no tights. Yes, I don't see any tights. So she was not wearing nylons, tights, pantyhose, whatever you like to call them. She was not wearing them. Had she worn them, it would have smoothed over her legs, her hips. These bumps and lumps here would not be visible. And it would help the fabric to lay nicer so it's not bunching up here at the waistline, because tights are a little bit slicky.
The next two outfits made international news. New Zealand. Outdoor royal engagement. Parents, children, cameras everywhere. And Meghan walked out in a skirt that was completely see-through from behind. Not faintly sheer. Not subtly suggestive. See-through. Her underwear was on display from waistband to leg opening. For every photographer in the crowd. Granny panties, viewers called them. And at least it wasn't a thong, which is the only mercy in the story. But still, this was a woman representing the Queen of England, walking around with her backside on full broadcast in front of small children. A single slip would have solved it. A pair of dark tights would have solved it. A different skirt would have solved it. She chose none of those things.
Next we have this terrible choice. Terrible judgment. She traumatized the people of New Zealand by wearing a sheer skirt with her panties visible. Her underwear are very clearly visible here, and it is not an attractive look. They're grand pans, they're not doing her any favors. All this needed was a slip, or if she really didn't want to do a slip, black hosiery would have been fine. Like black tights would have been just fine, or navy tights. But honestly, for this occasion, I would say a slip is all that would have really been needed, but it would have obviously solved the problem of the bum cheeks being visible. This was, again, tacky and weird, immature, just inappropriate. And people had their kids there. You would never expect someone who is representing the Queen of England to show up with visible butt cheeks. So I would be irritated as a parent. Like, what is happening here?
And here's where it gets interesting. Longtime royal watchers have noticed something they cannot let go of. Diana, the late Princess Diana, famously had her own sheer skirt moment as a young nursery aide. The sunlight came through her skirt in a single photograph, and the image went around the world. It became one of the most beloved early pictures of her. Because she was 19. She was naive. And she genuinely had no idea what the camera was capturing. Meghan was 37. She was a former actress. She knew exactly what cameras do. She knew exactly what sunlight does to thin fabric. And of all the skirts in her enormous, designer-stocked wardrobe, she chose that one. For that engagement.in that lighting. Viewers have suspected for years that this was her first attempt to manufacture her own Diana moment. To recreate that famous photograph and absorb some of the same affection that came with it. The difference is that the public adored Diana. The public was horrified by Meghan. These are not theories we are inventing.